Tonight, 150 Indian students face eviction from Canada. This is for allegedly submitting fake college admission documents. 3 dozen of them are challenging the decision in a Canadian federal court. And 2 Canadian officers die in the line of duty. Condolences are pouring in from Canadians nationwide. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau tweets, "We are here for you." And later in the show, we discuss recent alarming reports of human rights violations against Palestinians. Dr. Mukarram Zaidi calls for the Canadian government to take a firm stance on the Israeli crackdown.
Our government has been very, very quiet, and then should not say complicit, but the ongoing ethnic cleansing of Palestinians and the colonization, we are indirectly or indirectly supporting it when we don't condemn it in the strongest words.
Assalamu alaikum and good evening. This is Muslim News Canada on Muslim Network TV. I am Saamiyah Syed. The Canadian Border Security Agency, also known as the CBSA, has notified more than 150 Indian students to leave the country. According to the CBSA, these students arrived in the country by using forged college admission letters. The students say they were a victim of fraud, and the documents were provided by their immigration consultation agency in India. 4 years ago, 129 students were arrested in the US for fake university enrollment. The Indian High Commission in Canada has not yet responded to the situation. Attorney Jaswant Singh Mangat is representing more than 3 dozen students who have challenged the eviction order in a Canadian federal court. A small Muslim community in Fort St. John, British Columbia, is ready to embrace the holy month of Ramadan. Azhar Pulwala, founder and director of the Peace River Muslim Association, says Ramadan is a month for inner reflection and charity. Pulwala says Ramadan brings peace and hope into Muslims' lives. Osama Chauhan, a local volunteer at the mosque, says the holy month teaches Muslims to limit worldly consumption. He says it is a time for community and giving support to others. The Canadian Muslim community will observe Ramadan from the evening of March 22nd. The Fort St. John Muslim community invites Canadians to celebrate Eid al-Fitr with them. General Khalid al-Mahjoub, communications commander for Libya's renegade leader in the east, Khalifa Haftar, says more than 2 tons of natural uranium has been found. The UN's nuclear watchdog yesterday reported that the uranium was missing. Al-Mahjoub says the uranium has been discovered within 5 kilometers from where it was originally stored in southern Libya. According to a statement issued by Al-Mahjoub, the missing barrels were found near the border with Chad. A video issued by his media unit shows 18 barrels being recovered. The International Atomic Energy Agency says missing uranium poses a radiological threat as well as nuclear security concerns. 2 Canadian police officers have been shot dead, with a suspected killer dying of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. The 2 officers were responding to a domestic dispute early yesterday morning at an apartment building in the city of Edmonton, Alberta. As the officers approached the apartment, they were shot along with one of the female relatives of the suspect. The constables were transported to the hospital where they were pronounced dead. The young male suspect also died of what investigators believe is a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau sent a condolence tweet to the Edmonton Police Service and the men's families. Now, in recent months, the conditions of Palestinians in Israeli-occupied territories has worsened. Israeli forces are increasing their military presence and expanding their settlements. This is an ongoing process and one that not much attention has been paid to, unfortunately. But to give us a more in-depth explanation of just what is happening, I'd like to welcome Dr. Mukarram Zaidi, the chair of the Calgary-based Think Tank for Actions and the General Secretary for the Calgarians Against Racism, Violence, and Hate. Welcome to the show, Dr. Zaidi, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Dr. Zaidi, as I said before, there have been almost daily reports of Israeli raids and attacks on Palestinian people. And we hear of these incidents being reported, but can you give us a more in-depth picture? What exactly is happening to Palestinians in the recent months?
So since 1947, Nakba has been going on, and we all know the atrocities of what Nakba was. 531 villages were burned down, 750,000 or more Palestinians were um, displaced. That was like 75% of the population that was inhabiting that land. Um, 15,000 Palestinians were slaughtered. Uh, Around 25,000 houses were destroyed. Um and and then more than 55 from 55%, 85% land was captured and during that time. That did not stop. That has been going on. The war of 1967 continued, and for people living either in Gaza or West Bank, it still continues. The and the terminology used by the mainstream media needs to be corrected. It's not occupation; it's colonization of Palestine, and it's not just a small part of it. It's complete. Um, Inhabiting of that land. Gaza is the world's biggest open air prison to date, or a concentration camp, you can say. And whereas in West Bank, people are living in small quarters,
Mhm.
and their life has been restricted by several means, by
What I
checkpoints,
understand
having the walls.
And
Uh,
from what I understand, in recent months, the violence against them has recently escalated. And you wrote an op-ed in The Hill, and you said that the Canadian government has made, and I quote here, mild attempts to address Israel's actions. So can you recap for me, what exactly has the Canadian government done to address this issue?
for the latest two incidents that happened in Nablus, where the army had an operation, uh, and people were killed and injured in scores. And then afterwards, 400 illegal Israeli settlers went into the village of Hawara and ransacked it, destroying 70 homes, 100 cars, and killed one person. And Kenyan government has not said a word for it. And then their finance minister, Belzel Smotrich, uh, liked a tweet, and then furthermore uh, made a statement to wipe out Hawara from the face of earth. And even on that, we had a statement from United States of America, but Canadian government has not made a statement. So uh, our government has been very, very quiet. And then uh, should not say complicit, but the ongoing ethnic cleansing of Palestinians and the colonization, we are indirectly supporting it when we don't condemn it in the strongest words.
Mhm. Now, in that same op-ed, you wrote that the Canadian government was not only silent, but they needed to take a firmer stance against these illegal actions. What firm position or reaction are you thinking is warranted?
So first of all, the prime minister and the foreign minister has to make a clear statement against the Israeli supported illegal Israeli living in the uh, settlements, uh, causing terrorist activities and destroying livelihood and killing people. It starts with the first statement. Number two, what we require is to stop buying any goods from West Bank, which is illegally occupied. And then third would be um, to make sanctions against the country in general till the people of Palestine have equal rights as an Israeli has.
Mhm. And is there a capacity for taking such a stance on behalf of the Canadian government within our current political environment?
Well, the political environment is a change, and it's motivated by the people of the country. Whereas I see that our people in Canada are very quiet about when it comes to Palestine, and it's also because of the censorship of the media. None of the major news outlets have reported what's happening in Hawara and Nablus. They're not even talking about Bezalel Smotrich's statement to wipe out an entire population. It's fascism to the greatest extent. Our government has been silent on having a right-wing extreme government in Israel and slaughtering people as we go. Our recent examples are city of the Barcelona, which has cut ties with it. We have seen the African Union downgrading their diplomatic relationships with them. So they are presidents and they are examples across the world where people have taken a human stand.
Mhm. So from what I understand, it's not just our government that needs to act, it's also our people, the Canadians themselves, and the news outlets.
Correct.
Okay. Now, this issue has becoming increasingly alarming, especially after the comments of the politicians. So, for example, you mentioned the finance minister, Bezalel Smotrich, where he said that a Palestinian village should be wiped out. Now, is this an increasing settlement in Israel, this hatred against Palestinians, and what does that mean for their future?
Well, I think the hatred is ongoing for the last 75 years, and it has never decreased, and it has further increased by people like Bezos Smotrich in power of position, which have power and kind of motivating people to further go and kind of kill more Palestinians. The conditions were never as bad as it today, with having an extreme ultra right wing government coalition formed. So it's just not alarming. It's really serious, and that Canada should take a stand now and kind of save more deaths.
Mhm. So it makes taking a firm position all the more important and vital. Now, there was a meeting in February, I believe, between the Israeli and Palestinian leaders where they agreed to take steps and de escalate the situation. But given recent events, how likely is such an agreement to actually have an effect?
I didn't read the entire meeting minutes, but the behind the scene was they were trying to stop Palestine to go to International Criminal Court and call for the investigation against the Israelis, and that was the major objective of that all the peace talks. And I think the peace talks, these accords, Geneva conventions, they're all useless till we agree that this is colonization happening as we speak. People are being killed as we speak. Indigenous people of Palestine have been made refugees and been living for 75 years. As we speak, more and more homes are being demolished. Um, just recently, Israel has announced to have more 7,000 more homes built in occupied West Bank, and at this point there are more than 700,000 illegal Israelis living in the West Bank under 200 different settlements, uh, and there are 100 outposts. And from all those 100 outposts, we see that the Israel supports the terrorist activities that take place within the land of Palestine. So the nightly raids done by Israel, the open air prison, which is Gaza, and blocking their water, their school supplies, medicines. Uh, how do you find that there could be any peace while you are slaughtering people by the number as we speak?
Mhm. Well, on that note, thank you so much, Dr. Zaidi, for joining us today and sharing more on just what exactly has been happening for the Palestinians recently. We appreciate having you on the show.
Thank you for having me.
You are watching Muslim News Canada on Muslim Network TV. That's it from our Toronto studios tonight. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more Canadian Muslim content. Stay safe, and until next time.